Our next speaker is Abhinandan from Sekhri to News Laundry. He has done many hats, and today we are excited to hear him speak.
So, thank you. That was fantastic. Saima Kaniz, it was heartfelt in different ways, different moods. So now be ready to get bored. That's my specialty. But before I start and I tailor my gyan, I just want to thank all of you who have organized this, because I have learned so much. I tried to attend as many sessions as I could. And I think one big learning for me was the ones that I attended on feminism in the morning, because all men over 40, especially those nearing 50 like me, need to educate and re-educate ourselves. So thank you for that. And of course, some amazing data points I picked up. The liver doctor, who is amazing, I highly recommend you check out his work. Set this startling statistic, which I shall check, that Kerala has the highest per capita alcohol consumption in the world. Punjab has a thing or two to say about that, but we shall discuss that later. So I'm going to talk about how social media impacts my industry, that's news, society, and politics in general. And politics impacts society in profound ways. It's not just politics, it's our lives that are impacted. Like a very good friend of mine has said, and I loved his quote, Sanjay Rajora, who's also a stand-up comedian, that if you don't find your politics will find you. So you can't just sit away and say, I'm not interested, because they will be interested if you wear a saffron bikini or whatever else Kaniz wants to wear. So when did the term break the internet come about? Does anyone remember? Yeah, obviously the BuzzFeed editor would know that. So, that is what broke the internet. Other than that, things that have broken the internet is that serial killer, that guy on death row, the good-looking model guy, he broke the internet. Many other celebrities broke the internet, but a story on starving farmers of Vidarbha didn't break the internet. Syria, the war there didn't break the internet. So the internet, we have heard many things, and let me tell you at the outset, net, I think social media has a positive impact, net, from where we were to where we are. But the full potential of it hasn't been realized either for the good or the bad. And right now, I think the bad it does is a little ahead. But I'm hopeful that we will get ahead, and I will end with a very inspiring quote at the end of this to reflect that optimism. Now, this is not new, breaking the internet, whether it's Kim Kardashian or, the good-looking guy who killed people. A lot of people, shit on Gen Z because they're not interested in news. There are way better reasons to shit on Gen Z, but that's not one of them. No time in the history of the world has news and information of that nature been more popular than entertainment. No time in history, in no society in the world. So let's not blame, Indian news consumers not interested in paying for news. No consumer in the world has ever said, I'm going to watch 60 Minutes and I'm not going to watch a Marvel film or, the latest tape, whatever that's gone viral, or you see my lingo is also not tape, reel that's gone viral. So, okay. So the difference in this laughter and that laughter, that was intended. This is not. So what's new is that now it's competing in the same space through the same delivery pipeline on the same device. Earlier, if you want to be entertained, you went to cinema and you watched Sholay or Diwar or Dil To Pagal Hai, whatever you wanted. And if you want to be informed, you subscribed to a newspaper. There were no broadcast, channels at the time, at least when I joined journalism in '95. So it was clear what you are doing. It was not, I'm watching a report about the horrible communal violence in some part. Let me switch to the Pagal. That wasn't possible. You'd have to get up, buy a ticket, go there. So you weren't competing for the same eyeballs. So while the internet has done a bunch of really good things, like made it possible for people like me to start a new venture, without any industrial backing of family wealth or anything, there was no chance in hell in the 90s that someone like me would have been caught against India Today, Times of India, Sakal Times. They wouldn't care. Today they do. So that's a good thing. But the bad thing that happens, and that's what I'm going to talk about, is when the tail starts wagging the dog. And that is what's happening with news today. What is the purpose of editorial filters? We've heard editorial filters are important in news. What are editorial filters? So here I'll come to this much abused term called elite. Now, I actually took down how it's described in different dictionaries. So the Webster dictionary says one of the is where is it? Sorry, just a sec. Well, the default dictionary on Apple says the choice or best of anything considered collectively as a group or class or person. And Webster says that superachievers who dominate, and there is one more definition, that superior in quality or rank or skill. And of course, there is a traditional definition as we understand it today, which has to do with elitism, that there is this group of elite who were giving us news, but it wasn't in our interest. While in a sense that may be true, the only industry where, like for example, if I love basketball, I love football. If you have a stadium of people watching, suddenly they won't say, "Arey, Messi tu hat, main khelta hu." Who are you? And you have heard when the Olympics happen, the person giving commentary often describes them as the super elite athletes in the world. Now, in news, the exact opposite has happened. The mob decides what will trend, and the editorial filters that were supposed to determine what is news, what is important, are all but vanishing and giving way to the mob. Now, two of my favorite, some people call them journalists, I call them news professionals, because I don't call myself a journalist, because I haven't done any significant journalism for 20 years or so. Not that I used to significant journalism in News Track. I was always still, story karke, in case Advani doesn't give an interview, we'll run your story. And Advani would give an interview, so my story would be dropped. But at least I would go and do the story. So I'm a news professional. But who are the two most famous news professionals according to you? Anyone? Any takers? Two people I admire most. Rajiv. Sorry? Well, actually, it is Dr. Ambedkar and Mahatma Gandhi. Bapu, as I like to call him. They were founders of newspapers. They ran newspapers. Bapu ran 3 at different points in his life. Baba Ambedkar started Muknayak. In fact, we have a young Meena here who runs the Muknayak. I highly recommend you watch it, read it, subscribe, and support the kind of work she's doing. Now, what was so special about Bapu? Now, I'm not comparing today's editors to Bapu and Ambedkar. I'm not. But the fact is that, just like I'm not comparing the team I played for with the Argentine team, but that is what we hope to be. That is what is our ideal. But what's happened in today's news environment, and this is where the whole social media algorithm and trends have broken news. Internet to chodo news hi toot gayi hai. So breaking the internet is in the pursuit of breaking the internet, because now you're competing with, which is why even very respectable news platforms have, and I took a screenshot once and I shared it on our group in our office. There was a really ghastly rape of a child, which was there on the, when the news comes up. And just under that, I don't want to take, the actor's name because it's not her fault. But check out whatever Goa bikini pics of this and this actor and her lovely holiday or whatever the hell it was. Now, why do they need to do that? Because they're competing for the same eyeballs, because this delivery device is the same, the delivery pipeline is the same. So in a sense, for competition traditionally, and this is, I'm just paddling into the economic zone, but a study to be done is, has competition like the traditional logic of competition in the markets is for price discovery. It's a fantastic price discovery mechanism. It may not be the best, but it is better than what anything else we have. And it ensures the most efficient resource allocation. That's what the market does. That's the basic principle of what is strong in the market. Market has a lot of things that are terrible as well. But has the market done that for news? Do you have a better product? Is it the best resource allocation? And has it actually made the consumer's life better? And I can confidently say, at least in the tech zone and what social media has done, it has not. So social media has broken the editor's authority. The anti-elitism, as it is described in political discourse today, has ensured that some chomo on Twitter can tell someone like Ram Guha, "Abhe, tu kya dekh raha hai? Main batata hu kya hua tha Gandhi ke time." His history books are being, rewritten. Stuff is being, just thrown out of there. And we are celebrating ignorance. And news has a lot to do with that, because news, for a while I was very optimistic about comedy in India. Just telling you one time ago, people will just keep talking. Uncles are like that. 2 minutes. It's, stand-up comics, when I watched them, I was like, dude, these guys are subversive. They are saying things that news cannot. And often I tweeted, I said, people like, back in the day, first time I heard Khamba, he was 21 or 22. I was like, who's this kid, man? He's fantastic in South X when he was performing in the Still Bar. And I went up to him after. I was like, amazing. And I said, what you guys are saying, even journalists don't have the guts to say. I said, so what stand-up comics do is they increase the size of the pit where then journalists can dance and do whatever they do. Unfortunately, even that stopped happening, which is sad. But news is the first and last line of defense for a society that could be overcome by authoritarian governments, tendencies, leaders, and assaults on liberal values and basic freedoms, starting with freedom of speech. Now, while news should be the first and often last line of defense, right now it is the top cheerleader of such things. And that too is because of algorithms dictating what is trending. So therefore, this is what we're going to talk about. And that is destroying news in profound ways. Now, I'm not saying, like I said, all is good, all is bad. And coming to the personal story, because I believe we were supposed to give some personal story. I didn't have any personal story of such significance or interest to share. But often I'm asked, I used to make TV shows on food, travel, and I had my partners run it, I don't run anymore, who make ads and stuff like that. That why did you get into news laundry? Why is this Kira? Now we have raids, I've been raided twice, I've had my phone and laptop confiscated, etc. And one of the most inspiring quotes that I really like, and it's the same that I tell anyone who wants to join journalism, that why do you want to get into news? George Mallory was asked, he tried scaling Everest several times. His body was found, I think, a few years ago. Time magazine did a cover story, because there was debate, did he make it on top or did he not? And he tried several times and he almost died a few times and he lost some toes. And then when he was going to attempt it again, I asked him, why do you want to climb Everest? So he said, because it is there. So why would small, tup-chap people like me want to, start news operations, be in court against people like Times and India Today and be raided? It's just that instinct. Why do you want to pick fights bigger than your aukat? Because it is there. And that is the reason you must do anything, because it is there and nothing else. Thank you.